Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be talking about the aggregate functions in Tableau. Aggregate functions in Tableau are used to perform the calculations on a set of values and then return a single result. These functions are crucial for summarizing and analyzing data in your visualization and here are some of the commonly used aggregate functions in Tableau. The first one is the percentile. Then we have the median. Then county, covariate, collect, max, minimum, standard EV, and sum. Now let's talk about them one by one and see what they are used for. The first one is the attribute function. The attribute function is used to return a single value from a dimensions when there's only one distinct value in the group. For example, if you are analyzing the sales data and want to know the region for a group of products, you can use the attribute of region and it would return the region name. All the products belong to the same region. Otherwise, it will return a asterisk sign to indicate multiple regions. The second one is the AVG or the average function. The average function calculates the mean or average of a set of numeric values within a specified group of context. It is a measure of central tendency and helps you to understand the typical value within the dataset to calculate the sum of all values and divide by the count of those values. Then we have the count function. The count function simply counts the number of rows or records within a given group or context. It's used to determine the size or volume of data in particular category, such as the number of customers in a region. Then we have the max function. The max function returns the largest value. Whereas if we talk about the minimum function returns the smallest value within a specified group or context. They help you to identify the extreme values in a dataset, like the highest and lowest sales figure in a given time period. Next is the median. The median function calculates the median value within a dataset or group. Median is the middle value when the data is arranged in ascending order. It's valuable when you want to understand the central values without being affected by the outlier. The next one is the percentile. Percentile returns the values below which a specified percentage of data falls within a group. For instance, percentile of sales, and when you talk about that, if you want, say, the values which are below 75% of all the sales data and where is it falling. It's useful for analyzing that kind of data distribution. Then we have the standard deviation and the population standard deviation. The standard deviation is given by STDEV and the population standard deviation is denoted by STDEVP. The STDEV calculates the sample standard deviation which measures how data points deviate from the mean within a sample. The STDEVP calculates the population standard deviation which means the standard deviation within the entire population. Both help you to understand the spread or variability of data. STDEVP is used when you have the data for the entire population while STDEV is used within a sample. The last one is the sum. The sum function adds up all the numerical values within a specified group or context. It's often used to calculate the total quantities, such as the total revenue generated by a product or the number of total units that are being sold in a specific category or subcategory. Now, let's go to the Tableau screen and see how these functions work. So, I'm in my Tableau screen where we will be working with a global superstore dataset. To create any calculated field, what I can do is I can click on this arrow and I can choose the create calculated field option. The first aggregate function that we will be making is the attribute function. So I can click on this all option and from here I can choose this aggregate option. Then I can choose this attribute option. Here I can give the name of any column. So for now I'm taking the subcategory. And in the calculation one option, I can give the name as attribute test. That is the ATTR test. Since this calculation is showing valid, I can click on apply and OK. And we know the use of this attribute test is to find out whether the value matches a specified value or not. So let's say I'm taking this subcategory in the rows, and then I'm taking this attribute test in the rows. Since this attribute test is made on the top of this subcategory value, therefore all the values will be matching and it is giving me the results. But what if I take any other kind of value? So let me clean up my screen and show you. Let's say this time I'm taking this region, and then I can track this attribute test again. And you can see it is giving me a asterisk sign. So this is very important. If you want to find out whether that particular specified part is present in your data, then this test would be useful. If it is not able to find that part, it would return you that asterisk sign. Let's try to do another kind of test. This time I'm taking a different calculated field in the aggregate function. So I go in the create calculated field and this time I'm choosing, let's say, the average. In the average expression, I'm specifying the profit. And here I can write the average test. So for average test, I have written AVG test. Let's say you want to find the subcategory wise profit. So I click on subcategory and then I'll double click on the profit. And it is giving you the profit value of each subcategory. Now, since the average is giving you the average value of all these profits, if I drag this in the row shelf, it would give me the average of all these subcategories. Let's try to make it in the form of the text table only. So it is giving me the average value of each of these subcategories. So for the profit average of the accessories, the value is 42, appliances is 81, and so on. If you want to double check these values, here you can see that the profit is given in the form of sum. What you can do to double check is, instead of this sum, you can click on this arrow, and the measure, you can take the average. And as you took the average, you can see now these two values are matching. So the shortcut for finding out these aggregate values is, you can click on this arrow, and instead of creating a calculated field, you can go in this shortcut and choose any kind of value that you want as an aggregate function. So the for the value is sum, you can choose it to be the average, medium, count, and other values. Now let's perform the same function on the count. Let's clear the screen, and this time I'm creating a calculated field, and this time I'm choosing the aggregate function as count. And in the count function, I'm giving the value as subcategory, and the calculation name would be the count test. I can click on apply and OK, and then I can double click on this subcategory where all the subcategories would be listed, and then I can double click on the count test. You can see that the count for every subcategory is listed over. That means that whenever a product is being ordered, the accessories subcategory is repeated 3075 times, and appliances is repeated 1755 times. So it is giving you all the result for the values which are being repeated. So if you want to sort this value in the ascending or descending order, you can do it with the help of these icons. If I click on this icon, it would sort the value in the descending order. That means it is giving you the highest value of the subcategory that has been ordered. So we can see the binders is the one which has been ordered the most. The value is 6152. While tables have the one which have been least ordered. In this way, you can try to count any values. Let's do the sum this time. So I again click on this arrow, the create calculated field, and in the aggregate functions, I'll choose sum option. And for the sum, I'll choose the sales amount this time. The name I can give as the sum test. Click on apply and OK. And here I can take the subcategory wise sales again. So I'll double click on this subcategory, and I'll drag and drop this sales over here. Since this is showing in the form of a bar chart, I can go over here in the show me, and I can choose a text table to show. Now you can see that every subcategory has some value of sales, and it is summing them all. If you want to see the test that we have just made, you can drag this sum test over here and drop it. Again, this is showing in the form of a bar chart, so I can convert it in the form of this table. Now you can verify all the values that we have made. So there are two ways of basically creating this kind of calculated fields. Either you can go in this create calculated field option, choose the aggregate functions, and choose any desired aggregate value that you want to make. Or the second option would be to just click on any kind of value that is present in measures, and instead of sum, you can choose it to be the maximum, minimum, percentile, count, medium, average, anything. If you choose the minimum, it would show you the minimum sales value. If you choose the maximum, it would show you the maximum sales value. So in this way, you can try to create the aggregate calculated fields, or you can even use this method. So this was all for this lecture. This lecture is clear. We will be meeting in the next session where we will be talking about different kind of another calculator. Thank you.